Good morning. This meditation is for Wednesday, April 1st. As if you've been watching my daily blogs, you'll notice that we've been going through the gospel. We started the first blog with God, and then yesterday we looked at man. And today we're still on man in a sense because we're looking at sin, the nature of sin. Tomorrow we'll look at Jesus, and then we'll look at our proper response to all of this. And so our verse for this morning is from Genesis 3, verse 6. I've got it highlighted here, shared my screen. Let me read that with you. So when the woman saw that the tree, and this tree here was the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, God had told Adam and Eve that if they ate from this tree, dying they would die. And so this is the tree that is in question. So when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, how did the woman come to that conclusion? Well, we see from verse 4 and 5 that she was fooled by the serpent. Verse 4 says, the serpent said to the woman, "You will not surely die." He's talking about eating this fruit. For God knows that when you eat of it, your eyes will be opened, and you will be like God, knowing good and evil. Notice how the serpent is portraying God here. He's saying that God is lying to you. God is a liar. Furthermore, God is threatened by you. God is like you. And if you eat of this fruit, then you'll be like him, and you will be a competitor with him. What a subtle lie, in the sense that it does appeal to, in a sense, the same sort of language that you get when you think of mankind being an image bearer. As an image bearer, you were designed to be like God, but not in this sense. The moon shines in the night because it reflects the glory of the sun. The sun's light reflects off it. And as an image of the sun, then it shines with great glory. But it's not its own glory. It's a borrowed glory. It's a reflective glory. That is what it is to be human beings. We're created to be image bearers. There's quite another thing if the moon would then say to the sun, I think I'm just going to take your spot. I'm going to be the sun. I'm going to be my own little sun. And that is what we're doing with sin here as rebels. We are trying to take God's position. We're trying to be God. Notice how that works. When he says, you won't die, and God said, you will die, then he's putting the man and the woman, Adam and Eve, in the position of judging. Whose position is that? Maybe it would help if we map this out in a little diagram. In creation, we have God here, and God is the king. He made it all. It's all for him. It's all from him. And he's the one that determines all truth. He orders creation. He made us, among other things, male and female. But he also ordered the day and the night, and he ordered all sorts of things in the creation week. Now, as human beings, in the proper order of things, we don't determine truth, we discover it, and we live according to God's truth, because God is the king. Now along comes this rebellion. On the surface, seemingly harmless. So what's the big deal about eating a fruit? Quite a bit, though, because in the rebellion now, we've set ourselves up as the king. We've appointed ourselves as the king. Let me draw another little crown here. You didn't know that that's what that was. It's crown. So we've appointed ourselves as the king. We are the arbiters of truth. We are deciding what truth is. We're even going to judge God based on what conclusions we come to. It's turned everything upside down. It's a radical rebellion. It's a radical fall from grace, as it turns out, because they get kicked out of the garden. And we, along with them, because we all come from Adam and Eve. So from this, God's rightful place, which, by the way, even though we appoint ourselves as king, good luck challenging God for his throne. He is still on the throne. But we keep trying to assert this, that it's my truth. Oftentimes in subtle ways. For instance, as I was reflecting on this and how this contagion of sin gets in my own thinking, and as you think about your own heart, because we want to apply these things at the heart level. In fact, let me get back on the screen here. As we apply these things to our own hearts, it's helpful to think of our hearts in three different aspects. We have a mind that we think with, we have affections that we love with, and we have a will that we choose with, things that we do. And how does sin affect me personally? And this sort of thing I would prayerfully recommend for you to do is we think about a verse like this. It teaches us the nature of sin and how it turns things upside down. How do I turn things upside down on the ground? And I got reflecting on my prayer life. Take, for instance, how routine praying for your meal can be. Oftentimes we do that because, well, we're Christians and we thank God, and we do it without much thought, or maybe even not much thanksgiving. Now, I'm not saying you never do it with Thanksgiving, but I know for me personally that it can just be, okay, we say our prayer and then we eat our food. And it can be automatic. Other prayers can be that way too, or sometimes I forget to pray entirely. And so prayer is the mechanism by which we cry out to God for his help. But if we're just doing it like it's a checklist, did I say my prayers this morning? Did I say my prayers before I went to bed? Check. Then we're doing no more than Cain was doing when he brought his offering. Remember the Cain and Abel story? Abel's offering was accepted, but Cain's was not. It may indeed have something to do with the live offering, and that there needed to be a substitute that pointed at Jesus Christ. Indeed, that may be the case. But we're told explicitly in the New Testament that Cain did not come with faith. He brought the best of his crops. You think, what's wrong with bringing his best? Probably Cain was thinking, what's wrong with bringing my best? Is my work not good enough? I'm worshiping God. I'm coming to worship God. Check. I did the right thing. I brought an offering to God. Isn't that good enough? And do you see what happens there when you do that? You find you've turned truth upside down. I have brought my offering. Isn't that good enough, God? God, what's wrong with you for not accepting my offering? We could do that with prayer too. I've prayed my prayer. Why didn't you answer the prayer the way I wanted you to, God? Right? Or why is there no power or passion in my worship, Lord? I came to church. I prayed prayers. I sang hymns. So we can do this in a religious way, like Cain. He came and offered his offering, but not with faith. He didn't do it with faith. He trying to work the system. Or me, what's the truth of the matter here? I can't have life and joy and peace and all the blessings that God has promised unless God gives them to me. I need God. Or go back to the blessing at the meal. Every bit of this meal came from God. My life, my next breath came from God. My ability to work and to receive goods from others came from God. On every level, on every front, I have these things from God. And so at the heart level, it affects me. My thinking is corrected. I pray because I must pray, not because I ought to pray. And certainly I ought to pray, but I come because I must pray. I need God. And I pray because I want God. God is where all life comes from. So it affects my heart, my affections as well, what I love. I want God. And so on the ground, then what happens, then I start praying on purpose, and I stop praying automatically, and I pray more often. So at the will level, I make decisions to pray. And so these are the sorts of the questions and thoughts that can then come as you start looking at your life. And when you lay this sin, I'm doing this, Lord. I'm working you for your blessings. I'm coming to you because life comes from you and I need you. I love you. But I recognize I don't actually believe that enough. I don't love that enough. Please forgive me. Please help me. And he does. I would commend that to you as well, that you would pray and ask for God's help to see your own heart and see where you might be needing to root out some heart sin. May God bless you and keep you.